Perhaps you felt it before, as if you were living inside a dream where everything moves so fast that you no longer recognize who you are. You wake up each morning, repeating the same habits, the same pressures, the same familiar roles, and when night falls, you only wish to disappear into a deep, undisturbed sleep. But what if that sleep wasn't a place to escape, but a doorway to be reborn? Welcome to Lucid Dream, Sleep and Science Stories, where philosophy, science, and the art of sleep become one. Here, every night is a journey inward. Every story a mirror reflecting the soul, and every moment of stillness a small step on the path back to your true self. In the world of lucid dream, we don't just talk about sleep, we talk about awareness, freedom, and the art of living mindfully amid the chaos of our times. We'll travel through the philosophical landscapes of Marcus Aurelius. Seneca and Epictetus wander beside Aristotle, Nietzsche, Buddha, and Camus, and pause in the vast silence between the stars, where the mind and the cosmos meet. Tonight, you're not merely listening to a story, you're stepping into a journey, one called recreating yourself, the art of renewal and letting go. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Let that truth guide your way, for perhaps true rebirth doesn't begin with action, but with stillness. A moment when you dare to look within and choose to live again, in your own way. And now, take a deep breath, and together with Lucid Dream, begin this journey of renewal, where sleep is no longer an ending, but the gateway to a new state of awareness. And so the journey begins. When your eyes close, another universe opens. Not out there, but within you. A place where every face, every expectation, every role the world has cast upon you slowly fades away. What remains is your truest self, bare and silent like the last light lingering in a dark room. Have you ever asked yourself, who am I, if not what others think of me? From birth, we are taught how to be someone, a good person, a successful one, a beloved one. Yet in this endless stream of becoming, how many times have you truly lived as a free being, not dependent, not escaping, not forcing yourself to fit into any mold? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." That line echoes like a bell through the mind, reminding us that the greatest fear is not the end of life, but never truly having lived at all. In the era of 2024, when everything feels too fast, too loud, too crowded, we've lost the ability to hear ourselves. We live among millions of sounds and billions of images, yet we can no longer listen to the quiet whisper of the soul. And that's when recreating yourself stops being a slogan and becomes an act of spiritual survival. It's not about changing your appearance, status, or relationships. It's the journey of freeing your being from the grip of the world. It's learning the art of not caring, not in the cold or indifferent sense, but as an art of letting go, a discipline of the inner self. So you are no longer dragged by what lies beyond your control. Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." We don't suffer because of the world. We suffer because of how we see it. And when you truly understand that, you begin to realize that the art of not caring is not about numbness. It's about emotional freedom, mental clarity, and the strength to remain silent amid chaos without needing to prove anything at all. Perhaps that is the first step toward recreating yourself. Not by starting over, but by relearning how to feel. Not by becoming someone new, but by returning to who you truly are. Everything you need has always been within.
But we forget stillness.
We forget that we can choose our response instead of being swept away by reaction. We forget that true freedom is not in controlling everything, but in knowing what doesn't need to be controlled. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." And within that understanding, we discover abundance, not in possessions, but in peace. Not in conquering the world, but in ceasing to battle ourselves. Recreating yourself begins at that very moment, when you stop striving to become and simply allow yourself to be. You no longer need to be seen or loved to feel worthy, because true worth never comes from others. It comes from how you face yourself in silence. Someone once asked, "How can I let go when the world keeps demanding so much?" The answer is simple. You don't have to let go of the world. You only need to let go of the need to control it. Once you do that, the world ceases to be a burden. It becomes a mirror, reflecting your soul. Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." Happiness does not come from the outside. It's not found in being loved, acknowledged, or praised. It arrives when you stop and realize that everything you've been searching for was already inside you all along. And that is the true meaning of the art of not caring. It's not about turning away from the world, but about opening up to yourself and realizing that the world is merely a reflection of your own mind. When you stop caring about proving yourself, the burdens fall away. The world feels lighter, deeper, more real. And in that moment, you begin to truly live for the very first time. But what happens
After we let go of the outer world,
when the space within opens up? What will we find inside ourselves? When you let go of the external world, the first thing you feel
is emptiness.
a vast expanse where there is no noise, no light, no one left to become.
Only you and you alone. It's the moment most people fear the most.
Because when there's nothing left to cling to outside, we are forced to look within. And in that stillness, one truth emerges: the mind has never been quiet. Thoughts flow like waves, memories, regrets, expectations, fears, all weaving into a storm of consciousness. We think we've let go, but in truth, we've only paused at the edge of chaos. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful and more free of interruptions than your own soul." There is no place more peaceful than your own soul. But to enter it, you must pass through the restless waves of the mind, where the ego still fights to stay in control. We are born into a world that urges us: care more, achieve more, prove yourself. And that very pressure makes us forget the wisdom of true indifference, a mindful kind of detachment, not avoidance, but discernment. When you stop caring about everything, you start caring about what truly matters. Silence no longer feels empty. It becomes a space for awareness, a place where you can hear yourself thinking and see each layer of your being clearly: your wounds, your pride, your fears, and even the parts of you you've never dared to face. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be a writer, write. If you wish to be a philosopher, think. If you wish to live peacefully, can you live as one who learns to let go, not by running from the world, but by living within it without being defined by it." That is what the Stoics called the inner fortress, a sanctuary no one can invade, a place untouched by turmoil. The only place where you are truly free is within yourself. And when you dwell there long enough, you realize the world outside can no longer tire you. You begin to see everything differently. Instead of reacting, you observe. Instead of anger, you understand. Instead of fear, you smile. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom is not about having everything you want. It's about no longer fearing what you lack. And in that sense, not caring becomes an act of courage. To stop caring about the trivial, you must have a heart vast enough. To remain calm in chaos, you must have a mind still enough. To stop proving yourself, you must trust the truth within you. There's a quiet paradox here. When you stop seeking approval, people begin to listen, because others can feel the energy of a peaceful mind. One who does not need to be loved becomes the easiest to love. One who does not need to be understood awakens the desire in others to understand. That is the paradox of life. When you let go, you receive. When you no longer need, you have. When you stop caring, you begin to live rightly. Buddha once said, "Attachment is the root of suffering." All suffering comes from clinging to people, outcomes, self-images, the past, the future. And when you stop clinging, you don't fall, you rise. Stillness is no longer emptiness. It becomes the space where you recreate yourself. You start noticing the smallest things. Your breath, your heartbeat, the warmth inside your chest. And you realize that you are still alive, truly alive. At that moment, the art of not caring ceases to be a theory. It becomes a state of being. It's when you look at the world with tranquil eyes, knowing that everything is flowing and nothing truly needs to be held. You become the observer of your own existence, without judgment, without fear, without regret, simply present. And in that presence you find the most primal essence of who you are, the part untouched by the world, the place where peace is born. But stillness is not the destination. For when you find peace within, a deeper question begins to arise. If I am no longer controlled by the world, then what truly makes me happy? When you have learned to be silent amid the noise, the world no longer binds you. Yet another question arises in your mind. If I no longer live to please anyone, then what truly makes me happy? This is the moment when a person faces one of philosophy's oldest questions. What is happiness? Aristotle once wrote, "Happiness depends upon ourselves. Happiness is not a reward from the world. It is the result of inner maturation." According to Aristotle, happiness, eudaimonia, does not come from pleasure or possessions, but from virtue, from living according to the best part of human nature. A happy person is not one who has little sorrow, but one who uses sorrow to understand themselves. They do not run from emotion, but learn to pass through it. Meanwhile, Epictetus, often misunderstood as the philosopher of pleasure, speaks of a very different kind of happiness. Epictetus once wrote, "If you wish to be rich, do not add to your money, but subtract from your desire." True sufficiency does not come from having more, but from wanting less. Epicurus does not praise indulgence, but simplicity, where one finds joy in the small things. A sunset, a cup of tea, or simply the peaceful feeling of existing in the present. Then there is Schopenhauer, who views the world with pessimistic clarity. He says that happiness is fragile, because it exists in those moments when we forget desire. People suffer not because life is cruel, but because our will to live always demands more than it needs. Schopenhauer once wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. Only when alone can we truly be ourselves."
Not in sorrowful loneliness, but in clarified solitude, when no one intrudes upon the flow of thought.
And we see the true nature of our desires. Then Nietzsche appears, like a spark in the long night of philosophy. He does not speak of finding happiness, but of creating it. Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. When we have a reason to live, we can endure almost anything." For Nietzsche, happiness is not comfort, but the strength to face pain and transform it into meaning. Without tragedy, there is no growth. Without suffering, there is no consciousness. And without discipline, there is no true freedom. But while the West frames happiness as a journey of overcoming the self, Buddhism whispers of it as a return. Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become. The mind is everything. What you think, you become." The Buddha does not teach us to chase happiness. He teaches us to relinquish the causes of suffering, attachment, resistance, and the illusion that we can control life. Happiness is not a mountaintop to be climbed. It is the plain on which you have stood from the start. Only you have forgotten. The deeper we understand, the more we see that happiness is not far away. It lies in how we accept ourselves unconditionally, in how we allow things to come and go without clinging, without possession, without fixing anything. Like the moon reflecting on water, it holds nothing, is not bound, and therefore remains whole forever. Aristotle once wrote, "The energy of the mind is the essence of life." Happiness does not come from living long or living correctly, but from living consciously. Every act, every thought, every breath, when performed with awareness, becomes art. And the greatest art in a life is the art of letting go. Letting go does not mean giving up. Letting go is accepting that things may leave, but our peace need not. Letting go is daring to believe that when we stop trying to control, things will return to their rightful places. In that moment, you no longer need to pursue happiness, because you have become happiness. Not because you have everything, but because you need nothing to feel whole. But when we learn to let go and to feel peace, another question echoes within. If I have found peace inside, am I forgetting myself? That is when the journey turns in a new direction. From letting go of the world to entering a love for the self. When you have passed through the darkness of letting go,
A miraculous thing begins to happen. You see yourself for the first time. Truly see yourself.
no longer the image reflected in others' eyes, no longer the mold the world has built, but your true self, fragile, breakable, yet radiant like the first light of day. In silence, you realize for so many years, we have loved everything except ourselves. We gave away compassion, patience, forgiveness, but were harsh and cold toward our own being. We want to help the whole world, but forget that the first one who needs healing is ourselves. Carl Rogers once wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. The strange paradox of growth. Only when we accept ourselves as we are, can we truly change. Self-love is not the flame of ego, but the light of understanding. It does not come from saying, I am perfect, but from saying, I am enough, even while unfinished." Maslow once said, "What a man can be, he must be." Loving yourself is an act of honoring your potential. It is not indulgence, but a commitment to your soul that you will live fully, learn earnestly, and love wholeheartedly, because you deserve a complete life. Aristotle once wrote, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." This is not the romance of ego, but the friendship between consciousness and being. A love that needs no roses or candles, only presence. In that presence, we stop running from ourselves. When you begin to love yourself, old wounds are no longer mere traces of pain, but witnesses to your strength. You no longer view the past as something to forget, but as the place where you began to learn how to live. Ayn Rand once wrote, "To say I love you, one must first know how to say the I." Before we can love another, we must learn to stand firmly in our own being. Self-love is not selfishness, it is responsibility. For if our soul is empty, we cannot give anything but lack. This is healthy selfishness. Not putting yourself above others, but placing yourself rightly on the map of compassion. To love others, we must have energy. To forgive, we must have peace. To give, we must stand firm. Thus, self-love is the beginning of generosity. Erich Fromm once wrote, "Love is the only sane and satisfactory answer to the problem of human existence." Love, not merely an emotion, but the only way to exist wholly. And that love begins with you. Without it, every other relationship is a desperate search between two incomplete souls. When you learn to heal yourself, you no longer need others to prove your worth. And it is in that freedom that you become full enough to love unconditionally. Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote, "Freedom is what you do with what has been done to you." Freedom is not forgetting the past, but choosing how to live with it. When you love yourself, you are no longer a victim of circumstance, but the creator of your life's meaning. This is recreating yourself in its deepest form, turning wounds into lessons, turning failure into flame, and becoming the guiding figure of your own being. Buddha once said, "You yourself,
as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." When you understand this,
you stop comparing, stop demanding, stop punishing yourself. Instead, you embrace yourself with compassion, not because you are perfect, but because you too are part of life that deserves love. From letting go, we learn peace. From peace, we learn self-compassion. And from self-compassion, we begin to understand the meaning of freedom. No longer is freedom to escape someone, but freedom to become yourself. A rebirth that is not noisy, but as profound as the universe whispering within your soul. But when we have loved ourselves, when the mind is calm and the heart clear, another question arises, gentle but profound. If I am the one who creates myself, then what is the meaning of this life? We move toward the philosophy of freedom, of existentialism, and the Stoic journey, where we learn to live mindfully amid meaninglessness and find meaning in the very act of existing. When people learn to love themselves, they think the journey is over. But in truth, that is only the beginning of understanding. Because after love comes compassion, and after compassion, wisdom. When the mind grows calm, you begin to see clearly that the world itself has not changed. The same old sounds, the same old people, the same old conflicts remain.
only the way you look at the world has changed.
The world was never truly chaotic. It's merely a reflection of an unarranged mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. The quality of your life always depends on the quality of your thinking." In fact, modern people are not lacking in happiness. They only lack the ability to recognize it when it appears. Because in this noisy world, we are taught that happiness must be grand, explosive, complete, when in reality it is small, quiet, and present every day. Happiness is not to achieve, but to notice. Like the breath, you cannot possess it. You can only feel that it is there. Epictetus once said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. A wise person does not lament what they lack, but rejoices in what they have." That is the essence of the art of letting go, a simple philosophy so easily forgotten, because we think letting go is loss, but truly it is the beginning of freedom. When you let go, you do not drop anything. You simply release the burden of having to hold on. Things pass, and you realize that only what truly belongs to you remains. Seneca once wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. True happiness is enjoying the present without anxious dependence on the future." This is what the modern world has lost, the ability to live in the moment. We are always preparing for happiness, but rarely allow ourselves to be happy right now. We say, "When I achieve that, I will be joyful." But when that arrives, another that is already waiting.
And so happiness is postponed indefinitely until we realize
we have wasted a lifetime chasing it. Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." Anger does not come from outside. It is born, grows, and burns our heart from within. Likewise, suffering does not come from the world, but from our resistance to it. Letting go is not weakness. It is the strength of one who understands, understanding that we cannot control the wind, but we can control the sails. When the wind changes, the wise do not complain. They simply change course. Aristotle once wrote, "The energy of the mind is the essence of life." Happiness is mental energy, a flow that cannot be imprisoned by outcomes. It resides in the action itself, not in the reward afterward. You are happy not when you get something, but when you are aware that you are living. It is the moment you look at the sky and realize it is still blue, no matter how many times you have cried beneath it. Nietzsche once wrote, "Amor fati, love your fate." To love your fate is the highest art of happiness. No complaining, no denial, but embracing life fully with all its scratches, failures, and incompletions. Only then does happiness cease to be conditional and becomes a natural state of the soul. Schopenhauer once wrote, "It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is utterly impossible to find it elsewhere." And that is the truth across all philosophies, all religions, all awakening journeys. Happiness never lies outside.
it is always an inner state. When you understand this, you begin to live differently. No more chasing, no more clinging.
You simply remain with yourself. And in that moment, the world stops feeling like a place to fight and becomes a place to live. But if happiness comes from within, then why do people so easily lose it? What makes us, despite understanding, still suffer? We arrive at the place where the art of letting go touches the very nature of the mind, where we learn not only to understand happiness, but to live it. In every breath, letting go, two words that seem simple, but are the hardest lesson in life. Because to let go, we must accept that some things do not belong to us. And to accept that, we must be strong enough not to cling and gentle enough not to resent. We grow in a world that teaches holding on is love and losing is failure. But philosophers and sages from thousands of years ago said the opposite, that letting go is the pinnacle of love, of freedom, of wisdom. Epictetus once said, "Some things are up to us,
and some are not. That is the foundation of Stoicism. That's the philosophy of equanimity.
Not everyone understands that not caring does not mean coldness, but the ability to distinguish between what can and cannot be controlled. You cannot control the weather, others, or the result of everything, but you can control how you respond. When you accept that, you are no longer tossed about by life's waves, because you have learned to become the water. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." Love what fate brings and love the people fate places in your life. This is the philosophy of amor fati, love of fate. Letting go is not resisting life, but merging with it in understanding. Like a river, it does not cling to shape, but accepts every bend and every rock because it knows every road leads to the sea. But the East teaches a different way of letting go. If Stoicism is self-control, then Taoism is letting go of the self. Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "To hold and fill to overflowing is not as good as to stop in time." Holding too much is worse than knowing when to stop. In the universe, everything exists through a balance of being and not being. Like yin and yang, day and night, gain and loss. Everything moves harmoniously in constant change. The one who understands the Tao does not resist the flow. They surrender to it like a leaf gently floating on water, for they know water never loses itself. It only transforms. Buddha once said, "Let go or be dragged." Let go or be dragged. Not a warning, but a gentle truth. For when we cling to what has passed, we only pull ourselves away from the present. And the present is the only place where happiness can exist. Everything else is just memory or illusion. Letting go does not mean forgetting, but forgiving what no longer fits. Forgiveness is not only for others, but for ourselves. The one who once erred, stumbled, and was not enough. Schopenhauer once wrote, "Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. Each person assumes their limits are the limits of the world. But when you let go, you realize the world is not small. Only your mind has narrowed it." Letting go is widening your view, ceasing to see things solely through the lens of the ego. For when there is no ego left to protect, the world becomes light as breath. In existential philosophy, Sartre once said, "Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. Letting go is the act of the free person. They are no longer bound by the past. They choose to redefine themselves. They do not allow what has happened to determine who they will become." Letting go is not forgetting, but rewriting the meaning of what has passed. And that is what makes letting go the art of the strong. For the weak cling, while the strong understand that everything has its time. Like flowers that bloom and fade, like waves that arrive and dissolve, letting go is respecting the rules of life. No more forcing, no more demanding, only pure presence. From there you begin to see, letting go does not make you lose yourself, it returns you to yourself. No burdens remain, no roles remain, only a free being, peaceful like a still lake when the wind ceases. Buddha once said, "In the end,
only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived,
and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you." In the end,
only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived,
and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. And perhaps that is the most beautiful definition of happiness humanity has ever known. But when you have let go of everything, when the mind is at peace, a quiet, empty space appears. That space is no longer lost. It is a door leading to the next part of the journey, where self-love is redefined, And selfishness is not a sin, but the art of living healthily within this world. A strange moment comes after we learn to let go. No more fear, no more clinging, no more wanting, and we find within a vast emptiness like the sky after the rain. Many mistake it for loneliness, but in truth it is freedom. And within that freedom something subtle takes root: self-love. Before, we misunderstood this love. We thought self-love was indulgence, selfishness, placing ourselves above all. But philosophy and humanistic psychology tell us otherwise. That self-love is not pride, but self-respect.
Not possession, but acceptance.
Not standing above the world, but standing rightly within it. Carl Rogers once wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. When we accept ourselves as we are, only then can we truly change." That is life's most beautiful paradox. Nothing transforms us more powerfully than gentleness toward ourselves. But to reach that point, first we must forgive ourselves. Forgive the times we were weak, the mistakes, the old beliefs, all we did before we knew how to love ourselves. Erich Fromm once wrote, "Love of others and love of ourselves are not alternatives. On the contrary, an attitude of love toward themselves will be found in all those who are capable of loving others." Self-love and love for others are not in conflict. They are two faces of the same consciousness, because we cannot give what we do not have. One who does not know how to care for themselves cannot love anyone else fully. Healthy self-love is the art of boundaries, knowing when to say no, knowing when to leave, when hurt.
Choosing peace over proving yourself right.
Knowing that preserving your energy is not selfishness, but disciplined kindness. Ayn Rand once wrote, "The man who does not value himself cannot value anything or anyone. One who does not value themselves cannot truly value anything." Self-love does not make you distant. It makes you clear. When you know who you are, you stop searching for your image in others' eyes. When you know your worth, you're no longer seduced by empty illusions. And when you understand yourself, you understand the world. As Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And on that journey of knowing, we learn that selfishness is not always negative. It only becomes harmful when we take from others to fill an inner lack. But when we are whole, that selfishness becomes a form of awareness. Healthy selfishness is directing your energy to what is right. It is choosing sleep instead of grinding for recognition. It is resting when the mind is tired. It is leaving relationships that drain you. It is prioritizing your real life because nobody can live your life for you. Nietzsche once wrote, "Become who you are. Become yourself." Those three simple words are the condensation of millennia of philosophy and millions of hours of human solitude. To become yourself, you must dare to go against the grain, dare to shed the shells society has built, dare to stand alone amid noise, and trust that the person within, though silent, is good, bright, and real enough. Aristotle once wrote, "Friendship with oneself is all important, for without it one cannot be friends with anyone else in the world. Be your own best friend."
No one knows you like you know yourself.
No one walks with you longer than you walk with yourself. Tell yourself daily, "I am not perfect, but I am trying," and that is enough. Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. If you can love all beings, why exclude yourself?" Self-love is not a reward, it is the foundation of awakening. Only when the mind is beloved can it be calm enough to accept life and deep enough to love others without seeking return. Self-love does not end in feeling superior, it ends with no longer comparing. No need to win to be understood or to be enough. because in that silence, you are enough. Letting go does not make you lose. Loving yourself does not make you arrogant.
Living for yourself does not make you lonely, it makes you honest. And when people find love within themselves, they begin to touch something deeper. The meaning of freedom.
No longer dependent on circumstances, no longer trapped by the illusion of control. Freedom becomes existential acceptance, where one faces life's meaninglessness, and from that, creates their own meaning, existential freedom. Freedom, existentialism, and the uprising of consciousness. When people have learned to let go, when they have learned to love themselves, they think they have found eternal peace. But then, within that stillness, a question arises, deep, soft, unavoidable. If I am the one who creates myself, then what is the meaning of this life? That is the beginning of existentialism, a philosophy that promises no heaven, that offers no comforting faith, but places the naked human being in the universe and asks, now, what will you do with your existence? Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote, "Man is condemned to be free. Human beings are condemned to be free." A phrase both beautiful and terrifying, because freedom is not a gift, it is responsibility. No one chooses to live for you.
No one bears your consequences.
No one defines who you are, except yourself. Freedom is not in having options, but in accepting that you are always choosing. Whether you are silent, fleeing, or consenting, all our choices, Albert Camus once wrote. The literal meaning of life is whatever you're doing that prevents you from killing yourself. Camus did not write about despair. He wrote about rebellion against meaninglessness, that even if life has no given purpose, we can kindle our own light. He said, we must imagine Sisyphus happy. When a person knows they are endlessly pushing the rock, yet still smiles, they have turned duty into choice, and in that choice they become free. Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When people have a why, they can endure almost anything. And that why is not bestowed.
It is created.
We can turn pain into strength, loneliness into awareness, loss into love. And in the moment we actively assign meaning to the meaningless, we rise above tragedy and touch existential freedom. But true freedom is not doing whatever one wants. True freedom is choosing the right thing to do, even when no one forces you to. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." One who cannot master themselves is never free, even if unbound. Freedom is not in action, but in awareness. A prisoner can be free if their mind does not yield. Conversely, one surrounded by luxury can be enslaved if driven by desire and fear. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events."
Realize this and you will find strength. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you view it.
And when you do that, you cease to be a victim of circumstance and become the artist of your fate. Camus once said, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." Even in the coldest winter, we find an invincible summer within. Freedom is not escaping life, but living within it with a soul that no longer fears. You do not need to believe everything has meaning, only that you can create meaning, and that is the uprising of consciousness. Not a rebellion against the world, but an uprising out of the darkness within us. Procrastination, victimhood, self-pity. When people stop asking, "Why am I suffering?" and begin asking, "What will I do with this suffering?" tragedy becomes lived philosophy, and then humans awaken. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. We do not have little time. We waste much of it. We fear, procrastinate, regret, and forget that every passing moment is life itself. Let go of the past, stop waiting for the future, and live fully in the present. That is existential freedom in its purest form. Freedom does not come from fleeing the world, but from standing within it and keeping peace. No need to change the universe, only transform the mind. Buddha once said, "No one saves us but ourselves." No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. No one can save us.
Only we can walk our own path.
And in each step, we no longer search for freedom, because we already are freedom. When we understand that, all philosophies, Stoic, existential, Buddhist, merge. They all speak of one thing: accept impermanence to live truly in the present. Let go of illusions to see clearly, and love life even when it is not perfect. Because after we find freedom within, the next natural impulse is not to seek, but to share. This journey leads to a new phase, where self-love becomes compassion, and freedom becomes virtue. The full rebirth of character, the path of self-love and healthy selfishness, where people do not only live for themselves, but live for the harmony between self and world. As after walking through the storm of the mind, after learning to let go and finding freedom in existence itself, you're no longer the same person you once were. Because when you've touched the meaninglessness of life and still choose to live beautifully, that's no longer survival, that's rebirth. The morning after a long night is always strange. It's not loud, it's not blinding, it's gentle, like the first light slipping through the leaves, like the feeling of forgiving yourself. Rebirth doesn't come with thunder. It comes with that quiet sigh after you finally understand. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love. Nothing in this life needs to be held with fear. And everything you've ever needed is simply a heart that's honest with itself. Carl Rogers once wrote, "The good life is a process, not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination. A good life isn't a fixed state, it's a direction. And that direction begins with self-love. Self-love isn't the mirror where you admire yourself. It's the light that lets you see yourself clearly. It's not a shelter from pain. It's the strength to stand tall through it. When you truly love yourself, you stop fearing that others won't understand you. You stop trying to please the world because you no longer trade your peace for someone else's approval." Ayn Rand once wrote, "The question isn't who is going to let me, it's who is going to stop me. Someone who loves themselves doesn't wait for permission to be real. They just live because they know life isn't meant for performance." But for truth, Aristotle once wrote, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. It's the longest romance you'll ever have. A love with no beginning and no end, only daily moments of gratitude and forgiveness."
Because self-love doesn't teach pride.
It teaches humility. It doesn't teach separation. It teaches harmony.
It doesn't teach selfishness.
It teaches you that you are part of everything. Erich Fromm once said, "Mature love is union under the condition of preserving one's integrity, one's individuality. Mature love is unity without losing yourself." Someone who truly loves themselves doesn't disappear inside another. They understand that connection is real only when both remain whole. Healthy selfishness might sound like a contradiction, but it's actually the highest form of spiritual maturity, because only when you love yourself enough can you love others without losing yourself in them. Healthy selfishness isn't putting yourself above everyone else.
It's simply not putting anyone above your own worth.
It's knowing boundaries, knowing when to rest, knowing how to say no. It's refusing to let your kindness be exploited and refusing to let your pride block your compassion. Nietzsche once wrote, "What does your conscience say? You shall become the person you are." What does your conscience tell you? That you must become who you truly are.
Not perfect.
Just honest. When you love yourself, you stop comparing, stop envying, stop fearing. You start seeing others not as rivals, but as mirrors of the same light within you. Buddha once said, "You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. And that person is not to be found. No one in the universe deserves your love more than you."
Because you too are part of this universe.
When you love yourself, you come into harmony with the whole. Self-love isn't a destination, it's a way of walking. It's waking up each morning and saying, "I'll be kind to myself today." It's when you fail, and instead of punishing yourself, you ask, "What can I learn from this?" It's when you suffer, and instead of running, you whisper, "This too is part of me, and I will love even this." Erich Fromm once wrote, "Love is an act of faith, and whoever is of little faith is also of little love." To love yourself is an act of faith. Faith that even when you're imperfect, you are still worthy. Faith that even when life feels heavy, you can still smile. Faith that even when you lose your way, you're still walking the only path that's real. The path back to yourself. But once you've learned to love yourself, something beautiful happens, that love begins to expand, like ripples in a lake after a drop of rain. From self-love, you begin to love others more deeply, more gently, more compassionately. And that's where healthy selfishness evolves into compassion, where love turns into action and understanding becomes kindness. When you've learned to love yourself, something miraculous starts to happen. Your heart no longer wants to keep that love just for you. Like a lamp that can't shine only for itself, true self-love naturally spreads outward. No effort, no plan, because the energy of fullness always wants to be shared. Carl Rogers once said, "When someone really hears you without passing judgment, without trying to fix you, it feels damn good." It's astonishing how healing it is when you've been truly heard without judgment. You understand the power of empathy, and you want to offer that same feeling to others, because self-love doesn't close you off.
It opens you up.
When you understand yourself, you begin to understand others. When you've forgiven yourself, you no longer need to condemn anyone. You see in them the same fear, the same longing to be understood that once lived in you. Erich Fromm once wrote, "Love is the only way of knowledge. Love is the only path to true understanding."
Not logic, not analysis,
but the ability to feel with the heart. When you look at others without the lens of judgment but with quiet eyes, you start to see every soul is doing its best, just at different levels of awareness. Seneca once wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. Wherever there's a human being, there's a chance to be kind."
Kindness doesn't need to be grand.
Sometimes it's just a look, a nod, a silence that listens. But those small gestures can hold up the world because they come from a heart that no longer fears. Ayn Rand once said, "To love is to value. To love is to see value."
Not to possess, but to recognize the truth in another.
When you love yourself, you no longer need to remake others in your image. You give them the freedom to be different. And that's what mature love is. Nietzsche once wrote, "There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. There's always a little madness in love and a little wisdom in that madness. Because love isn't pure reason. It's the raw instinct of life itself. When you love with understanding, you're no longer afraid of being hurt. because you know that to love is to live. Buddha once said, "If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. If your compassion doesn't include yourself, it's not complete." Compassion isn't sacrifice. It's understanding. It's knowing that helping others doesn't mean carrying their pain, but lighting within them the same flame you've lit within yourself. The expansion of love isn't some unconscious spreading. It's the conscious awakening of the heart. You begin to live kindly, not out of duty, but because it's who you are. You help not for reward, but because love leaves you no other choice. Aristotle once wrote, "Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all." Teaching the mind while forgetting the heart isn't teaching at all. And life reminds us of that every day, that knowledge without compassion is just a cold light, without warmth. Erich Fromm once wrote, "Immature love says, 'I love you because I need you.' Mature love says,
'I need you because I love you.' Immature love says,
'I love you because I need you.' Mature love says,
'I need you because I love you.' And in that moment,
we finally understand the true nature of love, that it doesn't come from lack, but from fullness. When you live with an open heart, the world is no longer something to escape. It becomes a gentle conversation between you and life itself. And in every breath, you can feel it. Everything is living with you, and everything is loving with you. Transition to part 3C. And when love expands outward, it no longer wants to stay as a feeling. It wants to become action, a philosophy of living, a way of being in the world with gratitude, discipline, and virtue. The virtue within, strength, discipline, and the inner power of living philosophy.
one day, after you've loved enough, forgiven enough, let go enough, you realize true freedom isn't just doing whatever you want.
It's knowing what you ought to do. Freedom stops being mere looseness. It becomes the discipline of someone who knows themselves. The free person needs no overseer because they have become the observer of their own life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That line doesn't land as theory, though it lands like a tap on the shoulder. After all the insight, sleepless nights, and hours of practice, what remains isn't more understanding, it's action. Virtue is not an ideal to admire. It's a choice you repeat every day, choosing calm over rage, listening over reacting, truth over comfort, even when truth hurts, and kindness even when no one is watching. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be."
And then do what you have to do. First, tell yourself who you want to be. Then live that out.
No permission needed, no external validation required. Those with virtue don't live for praise, they live for peace with their conscience. Discipline may sound like a chain, but really it's the arm of freedom. Those without discipline are dragged by desire. Those with it, though tested, can still smile. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Nobody is more unhappy than the one who never meets hardship, because they never get the chance to prove who they are." So adversity is not punishment, it's training for the soul. When you start to see life as a training ground, everything shifts. It's not why me anymore, it's what will I learn? You stop fleeing difficulty and instead meet it with open eyes. Buddha once said, "Endurance is one of the most difficult disciplines, but it is to the one who endures that the final victory comes." Endurance is a tough discipline, but the final victory belongs to the one who keeps going. Sometimes not giving up is itself a virtue. Sometimes staying silent instead of arguing is strength. Sometimes continuing to believe in goodness, that alone is triumph. Aristotle once wrote, We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. We are the sum of our repeated choices. Excellence or virtue is not a sudden act. It's a habit of awareness. You don't need to master philosophy to live rightly. You need honesty in small choices, an apology that comes on time, speaking truth instead of staying quiet, waking up early so you don't betray yourself. All of these are living philosophy. When virtue becomes instinct, the soul naturally rests, not because the outside world changed, but because inside you there's no more conflict, no fight between want and should, between desire and duty. There's an alignment of heart, mind, and action. Camus once wrote, "Integrity has no need of rules. A person of integrity needs no external rules." Ethics is not something you remember. It's something you live without thinking. That's the quiet beauty of virtue. No show, no compulsion, just presence in simple act. And when you live that way, every day becomes a kind of meditation.
You don't need to escape to the mountains.
You simply show up fully for what you do. This is Stoicism at its best, living in the world but not owned by it. Do your work, then let it go. Love deeply, then release. Accept that you cannot control outcomes, but you can control how you live. Peace then stops being the goal. It becomes the byproduct of virtue. You needn't chase calm because how you live is calm. And after learning to live with virtue, something inside you begins to change. A gentle, steady light, a sense that you are part of something larger than yourself. That harmony between self and nature, where people no longer strive to be merely good, but simply act in accord with the universe's order, is where the next chapter begins. There comes a moment in life when you stop trying so hard. You no longer need to prove anything. And you notice things keep moving just fine without you. The wind still blows. The sun still rises. Rivers keep flowing.
Life continues.
You are not the center of the universe. And strangely, for the first time, you feel at home in it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The universe is change. Life is opinion. The universe is change, and life is the lens you view it through." The day you truly see that, resistance falls away. You stop trying to control the rhythm of things because you trust that nature knows what it's doing. Your purpose is not to fix the world, but to join its flow with awareness. This is what the Stoics call alignment with nature. Not just forests and oceans, but the nature within you, your feelings, your limits, your shifts. When you stop forcing yourself to be strong all the time, you begin to accept weakness as part of nature. When you stop resenting sorrow, sorrow becomes your quiet teacher. Epictetus once said, "Seek not that events should happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will flow well. Don't pray for life to match your plan. Learn to want what happens, and your life will move smoothly."
That's harmony.
Not surrender, but clarity not to resist the inevitable.
All suffering begins with one thing, expecting the world to be what's in your head.
But the world never owed you that. Seneca once wrote, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." The future is always uncertain, so live now.
It sounds simple, but most of us forget.
We live like life is a draft, as if happiness waits until everything stabilizes. But there is no stability, only the breath of the present. Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "Man follows the earth.
Earth follows the universe.
The universe follows the Tao follows what is natural. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the heavens follow the Tao follows what is natural. Everything returns to naturalness. When you stop forcing, things return to their order. When everything in you finds its natural rhythm, your mind quiets and the world lightens. Buddha once said, "The trouble is, you think you have time. The trouble is, we think we have time. But this very moment is life."
Not tomorrow. Not when you achieve something.
Right now, in the breath, the blink, the knowing that you are alive. And then you stop hunting for meaning, because living is meaning. You stop asking, "Who am I?" Because that question dissolves into each breath of the present. No more me versus world, only a continuous stream of being. You are dust. You are wind. You are water. You are light. And when the mind becomes still, the world is no longer opposed to you. You don't need to harmonize with nature. You simply are nature. Camus once wrote, "Live to the point of tears." Live so fully that moments move you to tears, not from pain, but from the recognition that everything fragile around you is alive. And when you sit one quiet afternoon, hearing the wind and seeing sun through leaves, you'll finally understand what philosophers, sages, poets, and mystics have been trying to say for centuries. Peace is not the destination. It is here, in the breath, in small lights, in the humble fact of your existence. When a person has harmonized with nature, when mind and cosmos beat as one, the philosophical journey reaches its final chapter. The Stoic way, virtue, action, and the meaning of existence. A closing that isn't an end mark, but a full awakening, where philosophy ceases to be studied and becomes the way you live each day. Every awakening journey begins with a question and ends in action. After all those long nights of reflection, the philosophies, the letting go, the love, and the freedom, what's left isn't just understanding, it's how you live each day. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Don't live like you'll live forever. Death is always near. While you're alive, while you still can, be good. When you truly face death, the small stuff falls away. Reputation, arguments, the things we scramble to prove, they all fade. What remains is how you lived. And for the Stoics, that is the only real meaning of life. Virtue. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. It's not that life is short, we just waste so much of it. Days pass while we busy ourselves with things that will mean nothing in hours. We forget the simplest truth. Happiness doesn't come from adding more, but from living well with what we already have. And in mastering the small life, we practice the largest form of philosophy." Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy.
Embody it. Don't explain your philosophy, live it."
No need to lecture about stoicism, just smile in hardship. No need to preach about mindfulness, and just stay quiet when your mind wants to lash out. No need to call yourself a good person. Just choose what's right when no one's watching. That's lived philosophy. Not in books, not in word, but in how you walk, eat, breathe, and love. There will be days you feel empty. Things that used to excite you no longer move you. Goals that once roused you feel distant. You think you're lost, but you're not. You're transforming. After a long search, your mind grows tired of illusions. It learns to see things clearly. And the essence of life isn't excitement, it's a deep quiet. Aristotle once wrote, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Virtue isn't a heroic moment. It's the ordinary habit repeated day after day.
It's not losing your temper when misunderstood.
It's not puffing up when praised. It's getting up each morning and choosing what's right, even if no one notices. That's real greatness. Quiet, steady, with no need to prove itself. When you live by virtue, things inside you begin to settle. You're no longer chasing peace. Peace becomes the natural outcome of how you live. You stop being pulled by desire, stop being swallowed by fear. You don't need to escape the world because you've learned to live in the world without losing yourself. Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. Better than 1,000 empty words is one word that brings peace." That's the spirit of lived philosophy, simple, honest, useful.
No ornamentation, no complexity.
Not for debate, just to live kindly, gently, and clearly. Camus once wrote, "Real generosity toward the future lies in giving all to the present." True generosity toward the future is giving everything to the present. Don't overplan,
Be present.
do what you can now with a calm heart and whole hands. The rest, let the universe handle, and then you realize philosophy isn't something to study only, it's a way to live. There is no divide between thinker and doer because they become one. When the mind is at peace, right action follows. When actions are right, life itself lights up. This is the Stoic path. No religion, no ritual. Just simple wakefulness in daily life, but one final challenge remains. Philosophy teaches us how to live well. But how do we keep that quiet peace when storms return, when life tests us again? And one day, everything you love will go away. People you hold dear, places you once walked, sunlit mornings, the quiet evenings that felt like home, they will all dissolve into nameless stillness. Not because life is unfair, but because that is the nature of existence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. You could leave life at any moment. Let that shape how you live, speak, and think." It sounds like a warning, but it's really an awakening. Only when we accept that everything can be lost do we truly learn to cherish what remains. Seneca once said, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man. Those who fear death will never live fully. Fear of dying is fear of loss. And fear of loss keeps you from daring to live."
It's death, not life, that makes us honest.
When you know time is limited, choices gain meaning. Death isn't an end, it's the most honest moment of existence. No roles, no pretense. Just you and the naked truth of being human. Camus once wrote, "Come to terms with death. Thereafter anything is possible. Make peace with death, and everything becomes possible." Only when you face the final limit do you understand freedom. Nothing left to lose means everything you do can be real. Epictetus once said, "I must die." But must I die groaning? We will die, that's certain. But must we die lamenting? That small question holds an entire philosophy of attitude. You can't control death, but you can choose how you leave, without bitterness, without fear, without regret. Simply a gentle thanks for having been alive. Buddha once said, "Everything that has a beginning has an ending. Make your peace with that and all will be well. Everything that begins ends. Make peace with that and you will find calm. Death is not the enemy."
It's a silent teacher that shows us how to live honestly.
If you grasp that everything can be lost, you'll begin to love more tenderly. Someone might ask, if everything is impermanent, then why live at all? The answer is light. Because everything is impermanent, we live. Knowing nothing lasts makes each moment sacred. Knowing no one stays forever makes every hug, every look, every word worth living fully. Nietzsche once wrote on eternal recurrence, "What if a demon were to say to you, 'This life, as you now live it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more. would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon? Or have you experienced a tremendous moment when you would answer him, "You are a god"?
And never have I heard anything more divine. What if you had to live this life again and again, unchanged?
Would you curse that fate? Or would you welcome it? If you could gladly say, "Yes, I am ready," then you have lived a life true enough. Seneca once wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Life is long if you know how to use it, not to accumulate but to be present, not to control but to experience, not to fear the end but to pass through it with gratitude. So adversity, suffering, and death become not things to flee but measures of the soul. Only through difficulty do we see ourselves clearly.
Only through impermanence do we learn completeness.
And only by accepting we will die do we begin to live. When a person makes peace with impermanence, what remains is an inner light. Not the peace of avoidance, but the peace of full acceptance. The still mind, where the journey closes and the soul rests, not because it ran away, but because it came home. When the last storm passes, there is no victory cry, team, only silence. No thunder, no trumpet, just a soft breath and a quiet light.
That is not emptiness.
It is the fullness that needs nothing more. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. There is no quieter refuge than the soul." And that is the truth. We traveled the world, studied philosophy, loved, let go, faced death and impermanence, only to discover that every path circles back to the self. Deep down, the mind is like a lake. When stirred by desire, fear, and hope, it reflects wrongly. When we stop resisting, stop fleeing, stop trying to become, the lake smooths, and in that still surface we see the sky. Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Peace comes from within. Don't seek it outside. The world will always be noisy, people will change, life will never be perfect. But a calm mind sees all disturbances as passing clouds." Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. What happens isn't the point, how you respond is." When the mind is still, events are simply lessons. No longer good or bad and just is. You stop wanting to win. You want to understand. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free. The brave are free." And the greatest courage is to sit with yourself. In stillness, you hear what noise once hid. The wind, the breath, the heartbeat, and sometimes the voice of life itself.
No rush, no need to go.
No need to achieve more. You understand? Peace isn't at the end of the road, and it's in each step. Aristotle once wrote, "Happiness depends upon ourselves. Happiness depends on us." When the mind is still, we see happiness never left. It's there, hidden in small things, a cup of tea, a sliver of light, a gust of wind. We only need to slow down enough to feel it. Camus once said, "In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. In the coldest winter, you find the invincible summer inside. That is the still mind, unextinguished by suffering, unknotted by fear, simply present, observing, loving, accepting." When you reach this state, philosophies dissolve. No must remains.
No doctrine to worship.
You have become what philosophy intended. You don't learn peace, you are peace. You don't learn love, you are love. You don't seek freedom, you are freedom. Here, every question falls away.
Know who am I, only being. Know when, only now. Know where, only here.
And in that silence, everything, you, the universe, time, life, death, merge into one existence. And when the mind is still, the journey reaches its final station, full awakening. Not a blaze of revelation, but the gentle light of someone who understands and accepts things as they are.
Now allow to rest.
You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to think anymore. You don't need to search. You've come home. The long journey ends, not on some high peak, but in the silence of the mind. You have crossed the dark. You've sat with questions without answers, walked through pain, practiced letting go, learned to love, and reclaimed freedom. You've faced fear, met impermanence, and learned how to smile with it. Now there's nothing left to win.
Nothing left to prove.
You only need to breathe. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Each morning you wake, remember to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love is a gift. Tonight, before sleep takes you, know this too, to rest, to be still, to be quiet, is that same gift in another form." Buddha once said, "Sleep is the best meditation." Sleep is meditation. In sleep, we stop trying to control, stop judging, stop straining to understand. We let go. And in that letting go, the mind returns to the universe's natural rhythm. Close your eyes. Feel your body settle. Your heartbeat slows. Your breath finds a softer, steadier pace.
Sounds recede.
Memories dissolve like morning mist. You melt into space like a drop returning to the sea. No I, no they, only being that breathes. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly. Nothing great appears in an instant, not even peace." Peace is not a destination, it's a path. Every night you sleep well, every morning you wake with gratitude is a small step on that path. Let your mind float now. If a thought appears, don't push it away. Let it pass like a cloud. If an emotion rises, don't cling. Let it dissolve like wind in the dark. You don't have to do anything. You only need to be here. In this stillness, everything you once chased, happiness, freedom, love, meaning, is already in the place it belongs, inside you, not far away.
Not given by anyone.
No further journey required. You are awake. Now let your breathing join the breath of the world. Let your heart beat with the universe's pulse. Let sleep hold you as the river holds the sand. There is no end here, only continuation. And if tomorrow you lose your way again, remember, peace is not where you arrive, but how you walk. Walk gently.
Live honestly.
And when the world gets too loud, close your eyes. Listen for your own voice. That is the still mind. So the journey through philosophy, fear, freedom, love, and silence closes, not with a period, but with a long, full breath. If you're still hearing these words, know this: you have come very far.
Not across the world, but within.
Peace is not something you find at the journey's end. It's the way you step along the path. Each day, each night, each breath is an invitation to live truly, to love truly, to simply be lucid, dream, sleep, and science. Stories. This channel exists for one simple reason: to remind you that in the rush of life, there is a place you can return to, a soft voice, a deep breath, a silence long enough to hear yourself again. Sleep well. Let these philosophies dissolve into your dreams and wake tomorrow with a new soul, lighter, clearer, freer.